IVM.
News Kids on the Block. We bring to you stories that top the nation's papers, fresh from the IVM and SN International School desk. Hi, I'm Kavya.
I'm Anya.
And unfortunately, Trivik is not able to join us today because he is finishing up with his final few exams. So you are stuck with me and Anya for today. And I'll hand it over to Anya to take us into the first story.
So the first story that we have for you today comes from, it's some national news to get us started. And that is talking about the Taj Mahal controversy that you may or may not have heard about. Now, essentially what happened is there was a plea that was a fact-finding inquiry plea that was put into the Allahabad High Court and rejected. But essentially what it was is that it just said that they wanted to open the closed rooms of the Taj Mahal to find out if there were idols kept inside. And the archaeological, and just a few days after this, the Allahabad High Court actually said, no, that's not really making sense. Well, not in those exact words. The Archaeological Survey of India, the ASI, released unseen photos of the Taj Mahal that they clicked while they were restoring the monument earlier this year. This included this included pictures of these supposed closed rooms as well as some underground rooms, and you can see them. They're available to everybody on the ASI website. The petition asked for them to open 22 closed rooms, and basically Rajneesh Singh, who is the media in charge of the BJP's Ayodhya unit, filed this petition earlier in May urging ASI to open these same rooms. So basically, they just said that like the Taj Mahal is this like representation of like, India and everything, and we deserve to know that there isn't some aspect of history that's hidden or not hidden on whatever grounds that they believed that they deserve to see it. But I think that the ASI just kind of avoided controversy by posting these pictures on a public forum and everyone's looking at them and you can see them. It's really quite basic. That just like, if you look at some of these photos, it just literally shows like a really nice paint job being done and it just looks polished and clean. So you can just Google Taj Mahal rooms and it's the first thing that comes up and you see like 100 different photos. But I just thought that like this became a controversy because they just wanted to see like the Taj Mahal with like these Hindu idols behind it, when the Taj Mahal is like notoriously known to have been built by Shah Jahan, one of the Mughal empires who were, Muslim rulers. So again, it goes back to like the whole idea of like why we consider that one religion is constantly oppressing another religion, when the reality of our history is very much that both of these religions and cultures came together in order to create a larger Indian culture, Hindustani culture that we are living and breathing right now.
Thanks, Anya. I will take us into the next story, which I think in some ways is a pretty cool and interesting story. However, it really does reflect society today and the really dangerous parts of society that oppress women and oppress single mothers. So this story is about S. Pechiamal, who disguised herself as a man after her husband died in order to raise her daughter in a bid to avoid any obstacles that a single mother could face. It was only 15 days after their marriage that her husband passed away, and at her native village, she tried to get jobs at different construction sites, but because of the fact that she was a woman, she was discriminated against a lot. And in order to overcome this, she changed her identity completely and became Muthu. She got a haircut and even changed her clothes and started wearing men clothes. And only her close relatives knew that she was actually a woman, and her daughter, of course. And after almost changing her identity to a man, she was able to get all kinds of jobs, like working as a painter, as a tea master, and these were all kind of jobs that she couldn't get as a woman. So I think it really, really shows us how women are just scared in some ways. The fact that she felt the need to like change her identity to a man in order to protect her daughter, and even though her daughter is grown up and married now, she still does not want to change her identity back because she thinks that her daughter will be unsafe if she does. And I think that really is a reflection of society today and how single mothers are, it's so hard for them in a way being mothers and just being women in today's world.
Yeah, Kavya, I think I agree with you so much. And I think not even a reflection of just the fact that she felt like her daughter was more safe if she was a man or if she acted like the father of her child, even though, like we know for a fact that in our society, children are very, very dependent, or at least mothers are very much associated with a woman's identity. And I think that it's really just quite something to think about the fact that, like, she's getting all these jobs and she's doing all of these things. And even now, like you said, like years after her daughter's been married and everything, like she still wants to keep that identity. It just tells you about like these advantages that you seem to have in society when you're a man without even realizing it, until you literally, Arab boy for a day.
Yeah, and I think the saddest part about this is that it really reflects truth. It's not just some crazy idea that she had in her mind. It genuinely reflects truth, and we can see it in the results that she was able to get jobs as a man that she would not have got as a woman. So definitely something to think about. And we will take a short break and be right back on News Kids on the Block.
We face 100 dilemmas every day while raising our children and nurturing our families. Why not let science help us make informed decisions to solve our dilemmas? Hi, I'm Devi Shobha.
And I'm Meghna. We host Big Talk About Tiny Humans, where we will help you unpack challenges around parenting and your child's development.
And more importantly, we will equip you with research-backed strategies that you can readily act on.
Tune in to our podcast every Wednesday on the IVM Podcasts app, website, or your favorite podcast platforms.
Welcome back to News Kids on the Block. Our next story for you today comes from France, and kind of just speaking about women who are doing different things. France elected their second prime minister to be a female in over 30 years. And during her inauguration speech, she said that I want to dedicate my nomination to all little girls and tell them to go all the way pursuing your dreams. She was previously professionally an engineer and she is 61. The BBC describes her as a left-wing technocrat, and she, under the President Emmanuel Macron, she served as the Labour minister. The general election is going to happen in June, so later this year. And right now, France is just kind of a little bit uncertain in terms of how their new prime minister will fit under the rest of the French parliamentary system. According to BBC article, Ms. Bon has detailed experiences of key green and social policy issues. She's also worked as the transport and ecological transition minister under Mr. Macron, who was re-elected last month. And she's done a lot of great work for controversial social policy reforms. Like I said, she's only the second woman to serve as the French Prime Minister. The first was Edith Cresson in between 1991 and 1992. Something else that was really nice in the article that I read was that the outgoing PM, Jean Castex, he called Miss Bon Premier Ministre, a feminine form of like what you'd usually say of like, I don't know how to pronounce the male version without making it sound different, but essentially it's like a feminized version of Prime Minister in French. So I think that it's really nice to, every time we see like a woman in power, it's always just refreshing to see and learn and, you know, be inspired by that.
I definitely agree, Anya. I think we're seeing this in the world in more and more countries of women really starting to acknowledge their greatness and their leadership skills. And yeah, it's really great. I will take us into the next story, which is about Andrew Symonds, an Australian cricketer who very unfortunately passed away in a car accident in Queensland recently. He was only 46 years of age, and he was one of the greats, not only of Australian cricket, but also of cricket all over the world. He was a member of the Australian team when they won the World Cup in both 2003 and 2007. And I think it's coming at a hard time after Australia just lost another one of their great cricket talents, Shane Warne. So I think it hits even harder. A lot of the condolences and tweets that were written about him really just captured his wild and free spirit, but also his cricket talent. So I think it's definitely really devastating, and my condolences to his family and his friends.
With that, we will take a short break and we'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. It's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On This Round is on me, Asha Zaveri and Karan Shah of Swati Snacks shared their culinary journey with Gauri. On Shunya One, Sheeladitya asked Darshan Patija, CEO and co-founder of Vault, about his crypto journey. On Cyrus Says His Cock and Bulls, Cyrus, Puneet, Nivedita and Antariksh discussed a Madhya Pradesh man's complaint about consuming alcohol that had no kick. On Think Fast, Varun and Suchita discussed Windgreen's latest acquisition and influencers turning into podcasters. And on the Musafir story, Saif and Faiza meet travel couple Ranjani and Raghavan, who take us to Rajasthan's quaint little town of Bundi. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, we've been doing a series of profiles of people within the office, so do check that out for sure. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Also, don't forget to rate us on any platforms you're listening on. And you can also check us out on YouTube. We have a page on our website, ivmpodcast.com/YouTube, with a list of all our channels. We're also doing a small listener survey to better understand how you, the listener, responds to the advertising on our network. And also, we just want to know a little bit more about you. We would really appreciate it if you could spare a few minutes to fill it out. It will really help us build some better shows for you. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week, SBI Life Insurance and Jupiter, a digital banking app.
Welcome back. You're listening to News Kids on the Block, and I will take us into the next story for the day, which is about India making history when they won the 2022 Thomas Cup recently. They beat the 14-time champions Indonesia to win this, and I think the significance of this was that India had never made it to a final in the event's 73-year history, and I think it really just sparked a sense of patriotism and throughout the whole country. Since the event began in 1948, India has only qualified for 13 of the 32 editions, so I think it was even more significant because of that. And in the 73 years of this tournament existing, the championship title has only been held by 5 countries: China, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, and Denmark. And India was the 6th country to join this club when they won this year. So yeah, we're really, really proud of them, and we hope to see more championships won like this. I'll hand it over to Anya to take us to the last story of the day.
Our last story for today is about the Cannes Film Festival, which is a prestigious film festival which celebrates, film from all over place. India was chosen as the first country of honor at the March du Cinema on the opening day, and an Indian delegation led by the INB Minister Anurag Thakur walked the red carpet. This delegation includes A.R. Rahman, Pooja Hegde, and Shekhar Kapoor, to name a few, by an Indian Express article. This is the 75th Cannes Film Festival that is happening. And Akshay Kumar was also supposed to be there, but he unfortunately tested positive for COVID. There will be 6 Indian films screened at the film market, including Rocketry, The Nambi Effect, which will be showcased in Hindi, English, and Tamil. Godavari, which is in Marathi. Alpha Beta Gamma, another Hindi film. Boomba Ride, which is a Mishing film. Dhuin, which is in Maithili. And lastly, Nirai Tatakulla Maram, which will be presented in Malayalam. Deepika Padukone has seemed to make the headlines for numerous reasons when it comes to talking about this film festival. As usual, the unwarranted comments on her outfit that she decided to wear. This time she wore a Sabyasachi sari, but she will also be a part of the jury of the film festival. She said that while it does feel like a personal victory, it also feels like a slightly larger victory for the South Asian community. We can literally count on our fingertips the number of times anyone from India has been on the jury or has had the opportunity to represent the country at a platform such as this. I think that the film festival is really nice to watch because we all love our Bollywood films and our South Indian films and our Gujarati films and whatever else. I think that at the same time, our films aren't seen as cinematic masterpieces or something like that by a larger audience. And I think that this festival is platform for that to happen. And there have been so many women especially who have, talked about our film and been really involved in various aspects of it.
I think that's so true, Anya. I think it's really great to see Indian culture and Indian film getting more recognition internationally as well. I think we've started seeing a lot more recently, which is really great. That is all we have for you today on News Kids on the Block. We hope you enjoyed this episode of News Kids on the Block. Don't forget to tune in to us every Friday for our fresh take on the news from across the globe.
If you like this episode, don't forget to check out other episodes on the IVM network.
You can follow us on @IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We'll see you next week. But till then, do share this episode with your folks. Stay safe. And don't forget to do your homework.
There's a quick survey to fill out on ivmpodcast.com/survey. It lets us know a little bit more about who's listening to us. And you know what? We're going to do a few prizes. So, we'll do a random drawing of maybe 10 people and we'll send you all some swag. Remember, that's ivmpodcast.com/survey where you can fill out the survey.
Ladies, I'm sure you will relate to it if I say that we are constantly busy with work, studies, cooking, and what not. And amidst all of this, we often forget an important element that needs our desperate attention: finance. So here we are, bringing to you SBI Life presents A Sip of Finance, a women-exclusive podcast where we will teach you how to manage personal finances in a simple and straightforward way with your host, Priyanka Acharya, a finance expert who's been in the industry for 14 plus years. And not just in English, but in 7 more languages. So tune in every Tuesday for fresh episodes on the IVM Podcast Network and all major podcast streaming platforms.